What's up, everyone? This is Chris McClung, and I'm home today with my son. He's staying home from school, and we've watched Force Awakens for like the umpteenth time now. And so, in watching it, I started to see. I saw the dream sequence again, and I had my own theory of what I think Episode VII is about. And so I started to just type a tweet about it, and that turned into two tweets, which turned into even longer stuff. So then I just deleted all the tweets, and then I said, well, let me just type it, and then I'll post that. And then that took too long to write, so then I said, well, let me just record this video, and it's nothing flashy, but thought I would just kind of take a stab at this thing. So so here's what I think. Okay, so I think Rey is Wedge Antilles' daughter. I think Wedge, survived all the battles that occurred in New Hope, Empire, Jedi. He was there for all of it. He's there at the end of Return of the Jedi. You see him, kind of congratulating everybody else, and he was victorious in that battle. And so I think he went on to have a family, get married, and then they had a daughter who he named Rey. So I think her name's Rey Antilles, and I believe that she was very recognizable, that she had the presence of the Force in her, and seeing that, I think that Luke was creating a new Jedi Academy to train a new generation of Jedi, and I think she was meant to be one of those Padawans, younglings that was going to be trained. And I think in that also, obviously, another kid who was being trained in that was Ben Solo. And in that training, I believe that Luke felt that there was a disturbance going on. I think he felt that there was something going on with Ben, and he felt that there was something not sure with Ben. And as a safeguard, what he did was he had made an emergency plan, which included him taking a map of where I think he made a discovery in his training and in his training others. I think he made a discovery of where the first Jedi temple was, or where the Jedi for the Force, the light side of the Force originated from. And I think Luke made a plan that he would go to that destination if an emergency ever happened. And he took a map and he divided it between Leia, and I think he divided the other part between R2. And so what ended up happening is, in the meantime, those people who were followers of the Empire, the people whose rich pockets just suddenly got a little bit thinner, I believe that they started to follow Snoke, who may not have been a direct apprentice of Vader, but might have been a direct apprentice of Palpatine, because we're never told that Palpatine only has one follower in being Vader. Palpatine could have had others that he was teaching, and Snoke might have been one of those, in addition to, the other ones that are with Snoke. And I think Snoke is the beginning of what we know as the Knights of Ren. And so in that, I think Snoke, secretly, seeming like he's a friend with everybody else, made contact with Ben Solo and started making promises to him, that he could be as powerful as his grandfather. And Ben, not knowing his grandfather, only hearing stories of the dark side of his grandfather and the tragedy of his grandfather, but also having this very similar things as Anakin wanting to have this power, wanting to be somebody of power and may have it naturally, sees the temptation to want to be powerful. And so Snoke persuades him and says, you can have these things, you can be this person, you just need to be like your grandfather, be like Vader. And so that's going on. I think Luke kind of sensed that was probably going on, which is why he made that emergency plan. So although it's tragedy, and although it might be shocking, I think the Knights of Ren, with Ben's help, invaded the Jedi Academy that Luke was starting, much in the same vein as as Order 66 happened. I think, they were all there being trained, and they came in and just slayed everybody who was being a Jedi. And I think what had happened was part of Luke's emergency plan was to have Leia have the map and have R2 have the other side of the map, and R2 would go to Leia for protection. You know, she would protect R2, and sorry, I got interrupted by a phone call. So anyway, so R2 would have the map. Leia would have the other half of the map. R2 would go after the battle and all that kind of stuff happens. R2 would go into a power down mode, and Leia with R2 and 3PO and all them, they would retreat. You know, somewhere they would fly off somewhere, almost like a Hoth scenario where they're escaping from one. They're told to escape from one place to another place, and so I think that similar thing happened. And so as this battle went on, and after this, the Jedi Temple was being slayed, I think Wedge probably had Rey and had Luke, and I think he took Luke to the destination where he was, where we see him at the end of Episode 7. I think. Well, actually, I think first Wedge probably took Rey as protection. Maybe that doesn't work. Anyway, I think Rey probably as protection. I think Wedge probably took Rey to Jakku, and kept her with Unkar, because Unkar seemed probably like the most stable person on that planet, the person that, you know, seemed to not be. He was able to feed himself, and you know, probably made promises of feeding Rey and taking care of her, and she was hidden there. You know, just to hide her from Snoke and to hide her from, you know, the Knights of Ren. And so I think that happened, and I think Wedge probably dropped her off and then left, but left with the anticipation of coming back to get her like the next day or something even. But somehow, you know, he got into a battle, and then that happened. So disregard me thinking that Wedge dropped Luke off. You know, he's not a taxi. But anyway, so I think Wedge probably dropped Rey off, meant to go right back and get her once the battle and once the chaos was calm. But then, you know, he ended up dying in a battle finally, sadly. And then Unkar, being the person that he is, seemed like, oh yeah, you know, I'll take care of her. And he's, you know, they're on this planet that is hidden, and not a lot of people think of it other than just a junkyard. It'd be a perfect spot to hide a new Jedi who could be powerful, like Rey. And so I think Unkar made promises, you know, I'll protect her, I'll keep her, all that kind of stuff, you know, I'll take care of her. And then as soon as Wedge took off, you know, he said, you know, you're mine now, and used her for work, and she probably was strong enough when she got older. She was strong enough to break away from him, but was still waiting for her family to return, so never left, which is why she scavenges for food now. And there's probably a little bit of, you know, something going on between Rey and Unkar where they have bad beef or whatnot. But so anyway, or it could be something else. So, but I also think that everybody knows, those who are of the resistance know that Rey is there, and they know who Rey is. And I think Lor San Tekka, much in the same vein as Obi-Wan, was sent to Jakku to watch over Rey from a distance. Again, just very similar to Obi-Wan and Luke. I think we have the same thing going on with Lor San Tekka and Rey. And I think Lor San Tekka was a friend of Leia, and they knew who she was, but they again, just trying to keep her protected from Snoke, keep her protected from the Knights of Ren and the First Order. So I believe that what we end up seeing is we end up seeing that the Force starts to awaken. You know, Rey is finally old enough to where she can fight for the Resistance. She can fight for the light side of the Force. And then we see Lor San Tekka take Leia's part of the map, because I think he got his part of the map from Leia, and Leia got it from Luke. And I think keep getting interrupted. This is what happens when you record videos on your phone, because then people keep calling you. And I know I'm like mumbling on. So I think Lor San Tekka, I think Luke gave part of the map to Leia. Leia gave part of the map to Lor Santeca. Lor Santeca was there to watch over Rey. And when Rey was old enough, I think it was finally getting to that point to where they were going to now go look for Luke. You know, she was going to be the one to kind of bring the Jedi back again. You know, and they had been doing all this fighting and stuff. So, and then the more I'm talking about this, I can see that there's probably some holes that I'm not thinking of. So then I think that was Luke's plan along. And Rey is, in short, I think Rey is Wedge's daughter, and I think Luke knows who she is. Oh, and this was I was gonna say. So, and I think Leia and Han and all of them know who Rey is, and I believe that when they find out who she is, that is why Leia hugs her the way she hugs her the first time she meets her. Yes, she's sad over what had happened to Han, but I think there's also a sense of, you know, she's home now, you know, she's here, and there's kind of the hugging. And I also noticed that when they first fly to Takodana, Rey says, I've never seen, you know, I've never seen anything this green before. And Han kind of looks over with this look of like remorse that, you know, he feels bad, you know, that she had been hidden away all that time. So anyway, so I'm babbling on. I'm sure those of you who are going to comment can blow this thing out the water, but that's my theory as I'm just kind of doing it and thinking it all along. So that's where we're at, and I look forward to seeing episode 8 and seeing how wrong I might have been on some of this and how right, you know, maybe I am on some of this. So thank you for watching this pieced up video, and may the Force be with you.